All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. This is Carrie. She is the associate executive director here. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to all of you joining us online, whether you're joining us from Facebook or YouTube, and wherever you are, whatever state you're in, we're glad you're part of this community. And this community is for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there is always one thing we don't do in this community. You can shout it out on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame. But Carrie will tell you some things coming up that you might want to know about.
Yes, hello. If tonight is your first night, we would love to get to know you. Just outside of these doors, Kai over here, raise your hand, Kai. She'll meet you just outside of these doors and get you hooked up with one of our welcome bags. Inside the welcome bag, you'll find some fresh roasted wagon coffee from the extraordinary Tammy Canaday and her women at Wagon Coffee. You'll also find some free merch and our Connect card. Our Connect card is how you get signed up to our newsletter and stay connected to all the fun events that we have going throughout the week, throughout the month, and who our guest storyteller is. And if you are signed up to our newsletter, you would know that we have a couple of, I wouldn't even say a couple, we have a lot of Christmas things that are starting to happen because
December's going to be packed.
This is just what happens now. Like all the holidays come, in a rush. So I'm going to go through these quickly, but I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter. You'll get more information about all of these and ways to sign up. But first, I want to tell you guys about Advent. We're going to do an Advent potluck on Thursday, December 4th. It's just going to be in the cafe. It's from 6 until 7:30. We encourage you to bring a dish to share, but if that's something that prohibits you from attending, please don't do that. Just come. There will be plenty of food. It's all about community, a little quiet moment before all the madness of the holiday happens. Just a quiet little moment with community just to get centered. This is now, I think, the third holiday season that we've done this together. So come and hang out with us. We have a fun event happening on Thursday, December 11th. This is the Ha Ha Holidays. So this is a professional comedy event put on by the Phoenix and us here at Free. This is a free event, but you do need to register. This event will, in fact, sell out. This place gets packed out, as well as the cafe. There will be overflow, but in order to register and save a seat, you do need to register. There's going to be food trucks. There's some handheld empanadas. And
Mama's empanadas.
Yes. I don't know. I'm going to have to check who they are. I don't know who they are, but there was something like pumpkin pie empanada or something.
Oh,
it'll be good. Come and have some food. Come and have some laughs and join the community. We also have, this one is super fun. This is our second year doing this as well. This is the party in the parking lot. We transform the back out there into this winter wonderland. We set up the wagon out there. We have a Christmas tree out there. We have holiday music. We have Love Pop food truck that has like all sorts of like sugary, just yumminess that you do not want to miss. This is another free event. We are collecting coats and warm articles of clothing that we're going to give to the Hornbuckle Foundation so they can distribute. We're also going to collect non-perishable food items, and we would love to fill up the wagon, which is just outside of these doors. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us, but I would also encourage you to sign up for the newsletter, and there'll be more next week. But that's all I got for you now.
Thank you, Carrie. Good stuff. All right, y'all, the way we get started in this community on a Saturday night is we start with celebrations. We start with the good. We lift up the good. Yes, celebrations. We take 3 minutes for this. It's a very profound part of our time together that we get to cheer for each other, root for each other. God joins with us in the celebrations, and maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday, or we celebrate it all. New jobs, new homes, new babies, whatever the new thing in your life of recovery is, we celebrate it. Again, if you're online, drop your celebrations in the Facebook comments or the YouTube comments. We'll join with you there. Layla has a mic on this side. Jimmy has a mic on this side. And if you're in-house, just raise up your hand and give us the good news. They'll get you a mic. Let's take 3.
Hi, I'm Braden, and I got a sober living set up for when I leave Palmer Lake Recovery Village.
All right, man. Congratulations. Good stuff.
My name is Ron, and I'm actually here with my granddaughter sitting next to her, and I brought some some of the clients from 4D Sober Living tonight.
All right, man. Good to have you all here.
I'm Cass, and I'm celebrating that I just got out of jail for something that happened 3 years ago while I was in my addiction.
All right, so here you are, free. Good to have you here.
Hi, I'm Robert. My addiction stole 2 marriages from me, and as of yesterday, I've now been married 14 and a half years.
All right. Happy midway anniversary.
Hi, my name's Julian, and I just got out of prison on the 9th, and I've been sober for 9 months.
9 months. Way to go, Julian. Good to have you here, buddy.
My name is Layla. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. That there is my son that I haven't spoke to in about 10 years and is with me tonight. Also, we have our 4D family joining us, so big celebration.
Yeah, we'll celebrate that. Good stuff.
Hi, my name is Josie. It's been about 3 months of me being clean for now, and I just got off of a date with a really sweet guy from my vape shop, whose first conversation with me there was about helping me quit nicotine.
All right. Well, hey, we'll celebrate that. Congratulations, Josie.
Hi, my name's Aaron. I'm 59 days sober today. I couldn't have done it without my PLR crew, but I also want everyone to welcome my biggest supporter. This is my 16-year-old daughter, Abriella.
Beautiful. Glad you're here, man. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Tamara, over here.
Oh, there you are.
I'm new to the 4D family, and I'm proud to be sober, and I'm proud to be with the 4D family.
Yeah, we'll celebrate that. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Nicole. Last month I celebrated 22 years clean and sober. Thank you.
All right, way to go. Happy 22.
Hi, my name is Robbie. I'm celebrating 60 days of sobriety.
Way to go, Robbie. Happy 60 days. We got one more? We got one more. I saw the hand. Let's take it. Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm celebrating 45 days sober today.
45 days. Congratulations.
So good.
Layla, you want to come up here and join me and join with our online people? So, how good is it to have your son here?
Like, takes my breath away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Man.
See what recovery does?
Absolutely.
All right, let's join with our online people, shall we? You want to read the first one?
Stevie Joe, I celebrated 13 years sober on November 10th.
Way to go, Stevie Joe.
Congratulations.
Happy 13 years. Nikki says, I celebrated 3 years clean and sober on Thursday, and my belly button birthday was yesterday. Can't believe I've been 29 for 13 years in a row. Congratulations, Nikki. 3 years and 29.
Pamela Les, hey, I just got a call from my son. First time I've talked to him since September. He's in Santa Cruz jail, which I knew. He wanted to tell me he loves me and that he's okay. I'm happy to know where he's at.
Yeah, we'll celebrate that, Pamela.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Chaos Tottenham says, 4 years strong. Way to go, man. Happy 4 years. Thank you, Layla, for joining me. It's good to have you here. All right, y'all, we are, so next week we start our Advent series, which leads us into Christmas. Advent's just a fancy term for the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. But tonight we are closing out a 3-week series that we've been doing. This is the third and final week, and it's called Heaven, Hell, and the Now. Tonight's the Now. Yeah, so what does it look like to choose life? Because here's what I know. Some of you are in this threshold in your life, and maybe it even feels like you're in the in-between. And what you would say is, well, I'm not exactly in hell, and I know what that's like. I remember the chains of hell. I know that suffering. And maybe you've even tasted heaven, because remember from the first week, where is the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is right here among you. It's within you. It's in your midst. But maybe you would say to me, you know what, Ryan? I don't feel like I know exactly what I'm doing in my life. And you would even say, I mean, life is fine, but I feel a bit lost with the God stuff, or I feel a bit lost with the spiritual journey. And yes, life is fine, but things in my life just feel a bit uncertain. And I would tell you, I know exactly what it feels like, because that's exactly how I felt about 3 years into my recovery. And if you were to ask me at that time, I would tell you, life is fine. Life is fine. But I also had this deep sense that there was more. I had this sense that there were some decisions to make. And it's this weird thing, because at 3 years, I could look back and I could see all these experiences, incredible experiences that I had with God. Experiences that I now am comfortable calling miracles. And the first miracle, of course, was, getting sober and putting down the drink. And then the obsession of the drink left, and that's a miracle. But it wasn't just putting down the drink. For me, my recovery was 12 steps, still is 12-step recovery, and I'm working these steps, and these miracles happened. Like I do a 4th step, and I'm taking inventory of my life, I'm getting honest, and then I get to a 9th step, and I'm making amends to those that I've harmed, and I'm telling y'all, some real miracles happened along the way. And yet, I still felt a bit lost. And I can tell you nothing bad happened, but as a pastor, I felt a bit lost. And during that time in my life, I was still hiding my recovery. I didn't really want people to know that I was an alcoholic in recovery, and I didn't know how to tell the story. I didn't want people to know that addiction ran deep in my family roots, and I've lost family members, more than one, to this disease of addiction. And to be honest with you, at that time in my life, I was okay with my silence, staying quiet in my recovery. Do you know a couple of Wednesdays ago, my wife Tammy, she walked into the house, and on Wednesdays I stay home and I prepare for Saturday nights. I work on my sermon, and she walked in, and I was deep into my sermon. I had notes everywhere and books, and I got my iPad screen open, and I'm deep into it. And she starts making lunch for herself in the kitchen, and then she waits a minute, and then she hollers into the living room. She says, "Hey, it's really weird." And I said, "Honey, what's really weird?" And she says, "Do you know, when I watch you in the times where you're like deep into your sermon," she said, "this weird thing happens. Your lips are constantly moving, but there's no words coming out." And then I have to explain to her, "Well, honey, why that happens is I'm deep into it, and my mind is working, like I'm thinking through it up here, and I'm talking through it, and my lips are moving, but no words are coming out because I'm thinking through it up here." And then it dawned on me that, man, I must look like an absolute weirdo at the gym. Because when I go to the gym, it's kind of the same thing. I go and I work it out with God. I talk it out with God. It becomes my prayer time, and I got my earbuds in, and the music's all the way up, and I am confident that my lips are oftentimes always moving, and people probably just think I'm really weird. And did you know, in January of 2016, I was in a planning meeting at the church where I was serving as pastor, and we were planning the future sermon series. This was January. We were planning out through February. And the week, we divvied up the weeks, who was going to preach what. The week that was given to me, the topic that was handed to me, I'll never forget it, it was the gift of uncertainty. And I thought, man, I don't really want this one. Man, that's a boring topic. What am I going to say about that topic? So I leave that meeting, and I go to the gym. I get my workout in, then I go upstairs, and I start jogging the track. And y'all, I am confident that my lips were moving because I'm working this thing out with God. And you do know the best form of prayer, your lips actually have to stop moving. I mean, if you want God to have a voice in the matter, you have to stop the talking. You actually have to listen. And people will ask all the time. They'll say, well, how do you know? My daughter asked me this just this week. She says, how do you know when you're hearing the voice of God versus just some other voice or just something you want to hear? How do you know it's the voice of God? And that's a good question, isn't it? Here's what I can tell you from my experience. In my experience, well, the voice of God, it comes through that still, quiet voice in here when you get quiet enough. It comes through what's called your inner wisdom. And we've actually got to get quiet enough to pay attention to it. And people will love to tell you, they'll say, well, you know it's God's voice when it's accompanied by a deep peace. And I say, yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes, but not always. I mean, sometimes I believe it's accompanied by a deep fear, like even some anxiety and some nervousness, because if you're allowing God to have a voice in your life, in my experience, God is going to invite you into the discomfort. And then you're going to want to argue a little bit, like, God, you want me to go where? You want me to do what? You want me to say what to whom? So there I was in the gym, and I can tell y'all, on that day when I was jogging the track, it was very clear to me that God was saying to me, Ryan, my boy, you've got some decisions to make. You can stay quiet. You can stay silent. You can keep hiding just a little bit in your recovery, and who knows, maybe your life is going to be fine. Or you can choose life. And so on that Sunday morning in February, I stood at the pulpit at the church where I was serving, all 3 worship services, and I shared for the very first time my story of being an alcoholic in recovery, and I got sober as a pastor. I shared with him that story, and I shared the gift of uncertainty and what it was like walking into my very first AA meeting, and it was indeed a gift. And I faced that same gift on that morning, the gift of uncertainty, because I wasn't sure how this thing was going to play out. And a long story short, God said, watch this. And then 2 years later, Free Recovery Community was birthed right in our backyard. And here's what I know, y'all. If you choose life, well, get ready, because you're going to be brought into a land that you don't even recognize. It's new. And you can't right now describe it because you haven't been there yet, so you don't have the categories to describe it. Like, I remember standing on our back patio that first gathering, and I was looking out at the people who came, and I had this thought to myself, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I'm here and this is happening. God, I could have never imagined it. And I imagine God would say back to me, yeah, of course you couldn't imagine it because you didn't open yourself to it until now. And God, I could have never imagined that our mission at Free would be to break the silence of addiction because I wanted to stay so quiet. And I imagine God said, yeah, Ryan, of course you couldn't imagine it because you weren't open to it until now. And my brothers and sisters, here's what I can tell you. You will have moments in your life and in your recovery where you will have decisions to make. And these will always be threshold moments. And here's the deal about threshold moments. They are not only the big moments and big events of your life. I mean, those are thresholds too, but it's all the little decisions you must make along the way. And see, you can keep doing what you're doing, and who knows, maybe your life will be fine. I mean, who knows? You're not in hell anymore. Those gates opened up, let you out. Maybe it'll be fine. Or you can choose life. Do you know in the 5th book of the Bible, 5th book of the Old Testament, or what's called the Hebrew Bible, you get the book of Deuteronomy. And the way it goes is, remember the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And to understand what's happening in this passage in Deuteronomy, we have to understand a bit of the backstory. So if you're a bit fuzzy, I will remind you just very briefly. The people, the Hebrew people, the Israelites have been taken out of their homeland, and they've been brought into this foreign land called Egypt, where they are living as exiles, forced into slavery by the king Pharaoh. And the Israelites, they are crying out all the time, God, how come you don't see us? How come you don't care about our suffering? How come you don't send someone to rescue us? Have you forgotten about us? And the text tells us that God hears the cries of the oppressed, and God sends Moses, says, Moses, I want you to go to them and lead them out of that land of Egypt and lead them into the promised land. And Moses went. But the problem is they spent many years, decades, more than one generation, not making a direct route, but instead wandering around in the wilderness or wandering around in the desert. But then we get to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Many years have gone by, and here they are standing at that threshold, standing on the east side of the Jordan River, and they are now looking into the promised land. Now think about this scene, y'all. Think about it. They're not exactly lost anymore, but they're not home either. They're standing in life in between. I mean, they knew the hell of exile. They knew the hell of change, just like you know with the chains of addiction. You know that story. And they had glimpses of heaven too. They had these stories with God, these experiences with God where they could look back when they got rescued out of Egypt, and then all these miracles happened along the way, God doing for them what they could not do for themselves. And think about it. They could have stayed living on the east side. And who knows? Maybe their lives would be just fine. Now keep in mind, Moses has been leading them for a long time now, and here's the reality of life. We all get older. We are not immortal. So God comes to Moses and essentially says to Moses, listen, Moses, my boy, here's what I need to tell you. Moses, you're getting really old, dude. In fact, you are old as dirt, and you are going to die soon. I think God was that blunt with people. You're going to die soon. And Moses, here's what I want you to do. I want you to begin preparing your final word to the people. I want you to begin thinking about your final message, your last sermon to them. Now, I imagine Moses got deep into some prayer and meditation. And I imagine Moses, if he was like me, his lips were constantly moving. And I imagine if he was like me, at some moment, Moses' lips stopped moving and he listened because he's had all these experiences with God. He's had all these encounters and he's learned to pay attention, just like the encounters we've had in recovery. And are we learning to pay attention? And there Moses is standing with his people at that threshold looking in. And what does he say to his people? What's his last word to the people? Today, I have given you the choice between life and death, between blessings and curses. Now I call on heaven and earth to witness the choice you make. And don't miss this part. Oh, that you would choose life so that you and your descendants might live. And did you catch it? It's not just choose life for you, but choose life for your kids. For the future generations to come, choose life for them. I mean, it's like Moses is handing them the steering wheel of their own future and saying, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to go? And in those threshold moments in your life, what does it look like to choose life? There's a beautiful prayer in the Hawaiian tradition. In fact, it's a very simple prayer. It's made up of 4 very simple statements, and I believe each of these 4 statements, they speak directly to all those threshold moments that we all encounter. It's called the Ho'oponopono prayer. Anyone heard of it? Oh, a couple of you. Yeah, this is a very easy one. It goes like this: I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I just want to look at this question of what does it look like to choose life through the lens of this prayer by just sharing with you a few very short stories of simple ways of choosing life in real time. And let's start with that first statement. I'm sorry. Yeah, this one, it's about you taking responsibility in your life. It's about not living in shame. It's about stop hiding. You might know, some of you know John Allison in our community. John Allison was here on Thursday. He came into free, and many of you know that John Allison knows the hell of recently, last summer, losing their daughter to this brutal disease of addiction. If you watched CBS News last night, they did a story here at Free on the fentanyl crisis, and I called John. I gave him about 30 minutes notice. I said, hey, can you meet me up at Free? They want to do a story, and we did a story together. I'll post it on social media when it comes out. But many of you also know John Allison. He also, I would argue, knows the heaven of community, the kind that keeps us connected, the kind that keeps us connected to everything meaningful, keeps us connected to God and each other. And do you know, a few weeks ago, we went to lunch together, and we shared barbecue, shared good conversation, and then we parted ways, and then he was here Thursday morning, and he came into my office, and he sat on my couch. He said, Ryan, I just need a couple minutes. He says, man, I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I said, John, what are you sorry for, dude? You didn't do anything. He said, no, do you remember lunch a few weeks ago? I said, yeah, I remember that. He says, well, you shared with me some very sensitive part of your life, and he said, when I heard it, I just spun it, and I made it all about me. And he says, I'm sorry. That's not the kind of friend I want to be. That's not the kind of person I want to show up as. And I can tell y'all, and looking back, I just didn't read the situation the way he was reading it. I didn't feel John made anything about him. But the words, I'm sorry, I didn't need them, but he needed it. And think about it, y'all. He didn't have to come to Free on Thursday. He didn't have to come and do that. In fact, I would tell you, if he didn't come, his life would probably be fine. But do you know what he did? He was coming here in that kind of honesty, and he was saying in real terms, this relationship matters to me. This community matters to me, and I want to show up as my best self. And I would ask you, my brothers and sisters, when it comes to your relationships, how are you showing up? Are you showing up as your best self, or are you hiding? Are you hiding the flaws, hoping no one sees? Are you hiding behind the walls of pride? Are you hiding in shame? And oh, that you would choose life. And then how about that second statement, please forgive me? Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? Because forgiveness, it's about the freedom of release, and without forgiveness, we're not really free, are we? And the truth is, some of you are here and you have not been able to forgive yourself for some of the things you've done in your past, even your recent past. And therefore, you have not been able to humble yourself enough to accept God's forgiveness or ask others for forgiveness. And you just stay in this constant vicious cycle. And this vicious cycle is the thing that keeps you from choosing life. Do you know I had to say both those things to my 15-year-old daughter just last week? I'm sorry, please forgive me. Because my 15-year-old daughter, she made some decisions, as 15-year-olds do. And it immediately threw me into my old go-tos of fear and shame. And fear is this weird thing in my life, because the initial response to fear for me is it always throws me into my shadow side. It always opens up that shadow side. And what's the shadow side tell me to do? Ryan, move your lips, but let words come out. And sometimes I regret these words, and I know it at the time, but my heart can't catch up to my head, and I say things that I regret. And the truth is, sometimes I try to believe that shame can actually modify behavior. And you say, Ryan, how do you believe that, man? I didn't say I try to believe it sometimes. Well, yeah, but Ryan, come on, man. We say it every week together. We don't do shame. You just wrote a book titled, We Don't Do Shame. You still struggle? Yes, I still struggle with this. I still need that weekly reminder. I need it daily. We don't do shame. And that's what I did to my 15-year-old daughter that night last week. I shamed her. And then I went to bed that night. And man, I didn't sleep well. You know those times where it feels like your heart's in a prison cage? That's what it felt like. I didn't sleep well, and as I was laying in bed, and I was thinking, man, dude, I've got some choices to make. And my initial choice was, oh, Ryan, you know what you should do? You should just hope that this kind of blows over, that she forgets about it. And tomorrow morning you can wake up and your relationship with your daughter is going to be fine. Or, Ryan, you could choose life not just for you, but for her. And Ryan, you actually know how to do this, dude. 12 years ago, you chose life and getting sober. And yes, you did it for you, but you also knew the impact it would have on your kids, your descendants. So that next morning, I wake up, I get out of bed, and I ask my daughter if we could have a conversation. And she agreed. And I said, baby, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And I explained my wrongs to her. And you know what she did? She gave me a great big hug, and she said, it's okay, Poppy. I know that you love me. And I accepted it because when forgiveness happens, it's released and then you are truly free. You see, my brothers and sisters, where do you need forgiveness in your life? Where do you need to be released so that you can be free? And isn't that what Moses was saying to his people? He was looking out with them saying, don't you all see how free you are right here, right now? And what does it look like to choose life? And then there's that third very simple statement. It says, thank you. And man, this one, it's a simple one. Not always easy. But it's about retraining your mind to see heaven breaking through earth right here, right now. And gratitude, the thank you, it keeps you rooted for all those threshold moments that you are going to face. And the truth is, you can start with all the things you don't have. And maybe you have a long list. You can start with, well, you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough education. Or you can start with all the things you do have. Start there. And if you're here tonight, or if you're watching tonight and you're in recovery, well, look at what you have. You have your recovery. You have community. You have a God who did for you what you could never do for yourself. And do you remember your story? Do you remember the hell you were rescued from? And the appropriate response is, thank you, God. Unless any of you did it on your own. Do you know, a few years ago, my friend Matt, who's part of this community, he was diagnosed with a very aggressive and deadly cancer. In fact, the doctors did not give him a good prognosis. And I remember going to their house that Tuesday night. This was a few years back, and he had friends gather around him, community, and we prayed for Matt, and we had oil, and there's nothing magical about oil. It's just a symbol of new life, keeping things new. We put oil on him, on his forehead or his hand. And then, long story short, through some real medical advancements, and I would tell you too, through the work of God, Matt today is cancer-free, and he's thriving. Amen. And if you talk to Matt, yeah, we can celebrate that. If you've ever talked to Matt, you know that he's always talking about gratitude. Mm-hmm. It's a very real thing for him. Why? Because he recognizes the fragileness of this life. And that recognition, it leads him into gratitude, but it's not just about words. For him, it's action. And do you know, 2 Saturdays ago, he was here tonight too at the 5 o'clock service. 2 Saturdays ago, he was here, and I saw him after the service, and I went up to Matt and I said, dude, thank you for the very generous gift you gave to this community. And he says to me, he said, don't worry, Rev. He's called me Rev for years. Don't worry, Rev, there's more. And I said, what do you mean there's more? And you got to know something about Matt. Matt is a general contractor. He's also retired, but he tells me that he loves doing the work. He loves helping people out, and so when people call him to do a project, he says yes to it. And then he tells me when it's time for them to pay, when it's time for them to get out their checkbook, he says, no. Don't make the check out to me. Give the check to a charity. And then he says, have you ever heard of Free Recovery Community? And do you see? His whole life is about living this big thank you, God. And we get to be the recipients of it. And then I get to turn around and say, thank you, God. And do you see how gratitude, it's just like the cycle of forgiveness. It's a cycle, and you get to participate in that cycle. And yes, you would be right to say to me, yeah, but Ryan, you don't know everything I've been through. You don't know everything that's happened to me. You don't know all my trauma. You don't know family runs deep in my addiction, and you're right. I don't know everything that's happened to you, but you're here. Amen. You're here, right now, and start with that. Thank you, God, and participate in the cycle of gratitude. And what does it look like for you to choose life? And let's close with this last statement. That's a simple one too. I love you. And if you Google this prayer, you look it up on YouTube, there's many different ways to pray this prayer. But for this line, I want to make one suggestion. Seal up your lips. You don't say anything. Just allow this line to be the voice of God speaking over you. Because you know, some of you are here and you're standing in that in-between place right now. You're standing east of your own Jordan River at a threshold moment in your life. And isn't it interesting? Moses wasn't giving them a rule. Moses wasn't giving them a command. Moses was giving them his heart. And Moses was giving them a blessing. Oh, that you would choose life. So let me ask you, do you know who you are? Do you know how loved you are? Because you don't have to go back. And I know, again, some of you say, no, addiction, it runs in my family. It's all I know, and the trauma, it's all I had in my childhood, and that's the stuff that runs through my veins, and you don't have to follow in your bloodline. You can make other choices. And God already did for you what you can't do for yourself. So the truth is, you don't even have to stay there where you are. I mean, you can. And maybe life would be just fine. But I believe God loves you way too much to leave you there in that place. You have brothers and sisters. You have community. You have a God who loves you, which means you never have to do this alone. We do it together. We step into the new together. You never go alone. And does that allow you, oh, that you would choose life? So here's what we'll do. We're going to hear a song together, because Alex, Warren, and Jelly Roll got together and did a great song called Bloodline. If you don't know it, if you've never heard it, you'll hear it for the first time tonight. And we have some oil. I'll stand here, and Carrie will stand over here. And if you would like just a simple, and remember, there's nothing magical about oil, but if you want just a simple blessing on your hand to help you remember to choose life, to help you remember that you never go alone, well, during the song, you can come up and get a little oil blessing. Or as always, you can sit and reflect. You do you, but this time is yours.
I swear I have the world's greatest job. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you are new with us, you should know that every single Saturday we invite a community member. Do you want your tea, my friend? Drink your tea. That's yours. From the coffee shop. I'm about to talk about it. But every single Saturday, we invite a community member up into the living room to share some of their experience on the topic at hand. This next gentleman means so much to me personally. He and I came to Free very similarly. Neither one of us were looking for spiritual connection. We were not necessarily looking for community. I was a little bit, I like to say, bamboozled. And he actually came in just looking for coffee. So it goes to show that how important what we do in here, yes, this is magical on a Saturday night, but so much happens in that coffee shop Monday through Saturday, and there's so much connection, and you never know who you're going to meet and the stories that you get to hear. He came in, and you're going to get to know him. He is absolutely fantastic, but he came in just looking for a hot cup of coffee. He was in recovery, but he had no idea what we did here. And now I get to see him almost every single day, and we get to have the most fantastic talks. And tonight you're going to get a little bit of an insight into this magical man. But can you please do me a favor and help welcome my friend Jean up into the living room? Oh, hold on. Is it working? Yeah. No? Hold on, friends. There we go.
Busy.
All right, there we go. Finally got my act together. I apologize for that. I would like you all to take just a quick little second and look up there. I don't know if you all know what today is. Today is November 22nd. And I am not really good at math, so I'll do some quick math for you. But when this guy wakes up tomorrow, he will be 43 years sober. That being said, we do not do frontsies in this community, so I will keep it in the absolute now. I do want to, I apologize, I'm not really on my phone like doing text messages, promise. This is like my questions, but this one's really important to me because this guy has so much experience, strength, and hope on so many topics. So most of it is not going to be able to happen tonight. So again, I encourage you to get to know this guy on a separate side note. But I do want to start with your story because Jerome was the other guest storyteller 2 weeks ago when he interviewed the veteran about hell. And I kind of want to start your story there because Jerome wanted you for that week. And I fought and I won. So I appreciate that you being here for this week. But you did know the hell of war. You did know the hell of addiction. You were in so much pain. And can you walk us through a little bit of what did it look like, the torture that was going on that you were living in, and what was that last, 43 years ago today? What did that look like before you made that decision to come into recovery?
Feel very humbled and appreciate the kind words. There's a gentleman here tonight in the second row that I've learned a lot of things from. And what I've learned from him was, 43 years, it doesn't seem real. But I've learned from Tim, don't forget your last drink or your second to the last drink. And every once in a while, I have to revisit that. My second to the last drink, I found myself in my backyard, broke, about to get fired again. And I'd been on a crazy motorcycle trip from here to Taos and back for 4 days, constant drinking. And I ended up in the cooler. And I was the only guy in the jail who wasn't going to Canyon City. And for those of you who don't know what Canyon City is, it's a state pen. I was the only guy in there that wasn't just out of Canyon City or was going back. And the light finally started to come on. And continued on that night. A friend of mine, drinking buddy of mine, bailed me out of jail. And I found a bottle at the house, and I called into work, lied about where I was going to be, got caught about that, but that worked out okay. But it's probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sitting up next to my garage, drunk again and naked. And I said a prayer, either let me drink myself to death or show me another way, and that's how it began. Yeah, I figured somebody could relate, even though we'll forgive the naked part. Go.
This guy has so many stories. But anyway, I want to circle back. So you said that when you made the decision, right, you chose life and you chose to come in to recovery, and you ended up getting sober through the 12-step process. And I want to touch on a specific area because you got to your 5th step, which for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it basically, so the 4th step is when you like drudge up all of like your deepest, darkest, all the things you had done, all the anger, the resentment, all the things that are really, really hard to look at. And then in step 5, you have to go and tell someone about these things. And these are very, very like high rates of people going back out at those times because it is very hard to look at some of those actions. And your first time through the steps, you got to that 5th step and you knew that you wanted to make a beginning in this program, and yet you didn't allow yourself to fully give into the process. What did that look like, and why did you stop yourself on that first 5th step?
I think one of the major issues I had was being able to forgive myself for some of my activities. My second sponsor was an ex-con from Folsom, gotten sober, was convicted of armed robberies. He'd robbed liquor stores. Eventually got sober in prison and ended up being one of Xerox's main repair guys for computers. Helped me immensely. When I had to do the 5th step, and I think he knew I was lying to him, or I was one of these guys that was not telling the truth by omission. There's some things that I did when I was in the service that I didn't want to talk about. I did talk about them 10 years later. I would not suggest that that's the way to handle a serious emotional or personal issue. And I can remember him saying, he's gone now. He helped hundreds of people. Marty Slattery, and some of you may know him or have heard of him, but he helped me immensely. But he asked me, he said, is that it? Like, at any rate. There were some things that I had to do in the service that I didn't want to do and had orders to do, but I will suffice it to say that I don't think you're ever the same unless you don't have a heart or a soul, when you see people literally disintegrate in pieces in front of you. I didn't want to talk about that, so I didn't. But I would 10 years later.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get to next, because that 10 years later, you, as Ryan was saying, you were fine, right? Or at least on the outside. But you knew that there was a deeper level of healing that you needed to do in order to truly achieve that happy, joyous, and free that this program does offer. What did that look like to not only know that it was time to do something different, but what did it look like to make the decision to trust the process?
I've been sober for 10 years, but there was something I felt that was missing. And I knew what the genesis was or what some of the details were. I called off a marriage. Amazingly enough, she was here tonight. She and I, and you talk about recovery and catharsis and things like that through this program and through a whole myriad of details positively. She and I are on good terms today when it could have been much different. A lady suggested to me, who was in the program, who is no longer with us either, that I talk to this individual because she sensed that something was missing. As Ryan said earlier, something was uncertain, and I knew that. So I talked to this psychologist person who, one, worked with Holocaust survivors, 2, airplane crash survivors, and 3, rape victim survivors. And I was suspicious of her, 1, because she was a woman, and 2, because she was a headbanger. So before we ever got into it, I said, well, can you tell me who one of the worst cases you ever helped? And she said, well, there was a Marine colonel, actually he was a major, the Marine major that came to me after he had gone outside and shot his computer with an AK-47. And I said, oh, I understand that. I said, well, what happened to him? She said, well, he no longer goes out in his backyard and shoots his computer with an AK-47. I said, we're on. And I guess in essence what happened was I did a real live, complete 4-step, which I had failed to do 10 years before. I do not suggest you do that. But there's where the recovery really began after I was 10 years sober. Go ahead.
And some of that work, and I know one of the beautiful reasons that I love our friendship and what you've mean so much to me, and if anyone out there has any sort of experience in this, sometimes when we come into recovery, men have tremendous whether it's resentment, resistance, fear, and the same goes for women. And I was one of those women that was terrified of men. I was terrified of the world around me. And you had the same but opposite with women. And you had allowed this woman in such a vulnerable way, and that forever changed you. And then again, this community, this happens so often that we get this reparative experience. And one of the things, again, like I said, I love so much about you and our friendship is that we get to talk about things and hear each other's perspectives and continue to grow. And so for the person who is still out there, who might not believe that they can have that reparative experience, whether it is with the opposite sex, whether it is with their family of origin, and then also whether it is with themselves, how would you say that forgiveness begins, and what sort of suggestion or advice would you give to someone who believes that they will never be able to achieve that level of forgiveness?
Oh, boy. I heard it a few days ago somewhere, I can't recall exactly, but the question was, how much do you dislike yourself? And how the road to recovery, or the road to a lack of uncertainty, again, I think requires you to forgive yourself. And you have to forgive God, or you've got to find God one way or the other. I don't know of any other way. If you want to talk a bit about experience here, which I certainly don't have all the answers, it goes through God, and it's so much easier to get sober and to stay sober if you can grasp that reality. Because I came from a place where I didn't trust anybody, particularly women. I think the beginning of it started when I got a Dear John, if you don't know what that is. That's getting a letter from a girlfriend at home telling you that you're curtains, or that your history, or you've been kicked to the curb, or been devalued. And I had some people shooting at me about that time, or many times. And I had to make a decision whether I was going to let what was happening at home be very detrimental there, or to get on with it. And I remember the day, just like I was out in back of my garage naked, I had to make a conscious decision. Am I going to survive here? Am I going to live here? Am I going to die? And I made the decision that day to survive.
I want to say that the last service, you have been a huge part in my own spiritual journey. I know, I know you don't think this, but let me tell you a little story. So I am not Catholic. I definitely relate hard with the spiritual refugee prayer. It's very foreign to me. I'm still learning every single day. And one of the things that we've talked about is Gene actually gave me one of his rosaries and introduced me to praying the rosary, and which I think is tremendous, even if you're not Catholic. And it was really amazing. So last service, I gave him this little Mother Mary coin because I said it's definitely not a sobriety coin, right? Because it's not tomorrow. But I do have one more little treat for you. But I want to read it just because, so you guys are my witness. It says, I know you're a defiant alcoholic, but do not open this until tomorrow morning. So this is the record. He cannot open this until tomorrow morning. So I'd like you to have this on record. You guys are my witness. But what I also, most importantly, to the person who is still out there, for the person who's searching for a community, for the person who, whether it is they're scared to come in for that cup of coffee, or they're scared to come in because if you knew what I did or what I've lived through, nobody is going to understand me. What would you say to the person still out there tonight looking for that little bit of hope that they belong?
You've got to surrender to the program. I said this at the last session. Some things have happened in my life that some people would describe as coincidental or accidental. I'm here because of the people that I associated with or connected with in my early sobriety. I did enough of the work to stay sober. There are 3 ministerial religious folks that had made a difference in my life, and I didn't ask to meet any of these guys. One was an Episcopalian priest who's passed on, who held the world record in the hurdles, was associated with Colin Powell and America's Promise. I just happened to call this guy, or I happened to call the organization out of the blue because I saw him on TV. Second was Father Pat, who used to be at Most Precious Blood, and the third is a pastor named Mark Brewer, who was at Colorado Community. They showed up. No accident. I firmly believe that every one of us have a plan, and it's up to God, not me. When I came in the program, I thought I was large and in charge, and I wasn't in charge of anything. So, for whatever that's worth, keep coming back. Associate with some people that can help you, and vice versa. And it's amazing what'll happen. This community, like Carrie said. I live a couple of blocks from here, and I'm driving past this place, coming back from the gas station. I see this cafe. I'm going, well, the place used to be a Methodist church. I walked in here out of the blue. Well, it wasn't out of the blue. I was meant to walk in here. So keep coming.
And I'm going to volunteer him that he is here literally almost every single day. So I encourage you to come and have a cup of coffee with this guy. He loves just this hot as hot you can get coffee. But please give Gene a round of applause. And when you see him...
Thank you, Gene.
And when you guys see him on Sunday or later, check in on him. Make sure he was rigorously honest and not opening that card.
Hey, Gene, let me ask you, dude, do you know another church community where you can drop the line, there I was, drunk and naked, and they're all like, yeah, me too, me too. This is our people. That's why I love you people. All right, y'all. We are, we're at the hour, aren't we? But the way we close down here at Free is very similar to how we begin. If you're new with us, we begin with celebrations, and we close with what we call heartaches. These are the burdens that we try to carry. Maybe you've been trying to carry burdens alone this week, and I hope you know you don't have to carry them alone. It's why we have community. It's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So we take 3 minutes for this. Again, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, whichever platform you're joining us from, drop your heartaches in there. We'll join with you there. But if you need some prayer, some lifting up, some encouragement, that's what this time is for. So just speak that heartache into the mic. And we'll take 3 minutes. Layla has a mic on this side. Jimmy has one on this side. This time is yours.
My name is Layla. I would like to just lift up my mother-in-law who just had surgery about a week and a half ago, and she's suffering with dementia. So if we could just pray that God keeps a hedge of protection over her.
All right, prayers for her. Thank you, Layla. Yep.
My heartache is to reunite with my sisters through my addiction. We've not been talking, so I hope that they take I'm sorry, and we were able to talk again.
Yeah, that can happen in recovery. Lots of people have experienced it, so prayers for you in those relationships and your recovery.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'd like to ask for prayers for a young man that I passed driving a couple days ago, and he had a sign that said, "I'm homeless and 5 months sober." And it was on 6th Avenue where it's very difficult to stop. So I circled around. I had no money to give him. I had nothing in my car, but I told him about the program. I just told him, call Full Circle, which is the program that has saved my son. And I said, tell him Juan's mom told you, and gave him the name of a counselor. And I told him Free Recovery Center is a church. And he said, I'm looking for a sponsor. I said, they'll help you. They'll hook you up. Free Recovery, Full Circle. So just prayers that he comes. I hope that he comes and finds you guys. So.
Prayers for him.
I'm Colin. I've mentioned this before. I grew up in a homicidally violent home. And I'm really scared my brother, if he starts remembering what actually happened in that home, he might kill himself. And I do not know how to help.
Yeah, prayers for your brother, Colin. Glad to hear.
Hey, I'm Christian. This is my first time ever being in Free Church.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. I am really looking for guidance. My mom is really struggling with more so me, and I have somewhat lost direction in life. I'm 21, got suspended from college, been drinking a lot, smoking since probably since I was like 11. I don't really know what to do, and God, also my mom, sent me here today, and I thank them so much.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys.
Christian, I'm glad you're here, brother.
Appreciate it.
Prayers for you, man.
Hi, it's Josie again. As much as I've had some good things going on in my life, I missed services last week because my best friend for the past year got arrested on 4-year-old domestic violence charges, and she's hit me while blackout drunk over things that I didn't even do. So I decided to cut her out of my life because of it, and it really hurts. But I need to be in a space where, people actually care about my recovery.
That's right. Glad you're here, Josie. Prayers for you. Did we have one more right in front of you?
Sorry. My name's Elizabeth. I just wanted to say prayers for Nolan. He had a seizure today at our facility, and he went to the hospital. It was very frightening.
All right, prayers for Nolan. And here in the middle, did you have your hand up? Someone in this middle row? No. Did I totally make that up? Over here? All right. Well, yeah, let's take one more. Let's do one more.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. Hi, my name's Adriana, and my little brother was hit by a drunk driver about 2 weeks ago, but he is in recovery, and he just got out of the hospital, so I'm looking for forgiveness for the person who hit him. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, prayers for your little brother. Glad you're here tonight. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I'm about to have surgery on Monday to remove the kidney stones that I have and the catheter. And I'm very scared. I hope I can wake up from this and be with my daughters. I'm going to visit my oldest and my youngest tomorrow for my birthday. So just keep me in your guys' prayers.
Yeah, prayers for you, brother. Thanks for sharing with us. All right. Jimmy, you want to join me up here? Jimmy or Layla, one of y'all with the mic. We
Jimmy
gotta join
can do
our
this
online
one.
people for a moment. Come on, Jimmy. You want to take the first one?
Sure.
All right. You read the first one, and I'll read the second one.
Okay. From Christy Sundberg, prayers for Jen and my 4-year-old great niece who burnt her hand badly, hoping there are no issues as she heals.
Yes, prayers for her, Christy. Glad you're with us tonight.
Um,
Brenda says, I have a difficult time asking for anything, but the last handful of months have put me in different situations that I'm struggling to deal with. Please send positive thoughts that will help me navigate all of this. Yes, Brenda, sending you all the good vibes we have. Prayers for you. I'm glad you're here with us tonight.
Okay, from Kara Winterbottom, pray for my daughter and I as we continue this road of intense grief of losing Desiree as we just passed her 3-year anniversary.
Continued prayers, Kara.
Okay.
Asking for prayers for me to make it through the holidays sober. Yes, prayers for you. You can do it sober. Many have. Glad you're here tonight. Thank you, Jimmy, for joining me up here, man. All right, y'all, if you have been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, which is our mission here, you should know all the time we get asked, well, how do you fund what's happening? And, well, to put it frankly, we are funded by you, the people. So I know many of you have made giving a spiritual practice in your life, and you had no sort of practice at all. And seriously, I say every week, if you don't give here, please do give somewhere. Give to people in need because it changes you. Before I tell you the ways you can give, let me say this. Just last night, someone in this community I was in a conversation with, and they said, hey, I want to give $15,000, but I want to see if we can get it matched. And this gentleman is willing to match up to $15,000, a tremendous gift to this community. And so we figured, you know what, $15,000, let's set it for 15 days. He is willing to match up to anything given. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or $500. If you give it online and you put in the memo match, that gift will be matched up to $15,000. And I said, you know what, I think this community can do that. If you would like to donate to free, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can download the app. It's free to download, Free Recovery Community. All of our content's on there. All of the guest storytellers are on there. There's a giving button. You can give one time or set it up to do weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all and any of it. Or do the same thing on the website, freerecoverycommunity.com. Or if you'd rather hit the donation boxes, there's one outside this door, one outside this door. For those of you that still carry things like cash and checks. And there is the giving kiosk just down this hallway on the right. It's a one-tap system, you know, just like Apple Pay. Kind of a fun, safe way to give. All of these are safe ways to give, by the way. But thank you for being a part of it. It truly makes a big difference here, and we're very grateful. Christian, dude, you want to come up here and pray with me? You don't have to say anything. You can just stand with me, dude. Because, man, come on up here, brother.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And what I heard you say is you're at this kind of moment in your life where you have some choices to make. Yeah. And here's what I believe. Everyone here is praying for you to choose life. Yes. And life gets better, dude. I promise you it gets better in recovery. It ain't always easy, but we do it together. That's it. Together. All right, dude. So I just encourage people, just open up the hands. It ain't nothing magical about it. Maybe you're just open to God moving tonight. Yeah, sweaty a little bit. It's all right. The God who moves in our midst all the time, breathing life in us and through us and all around us. Yeah. And I figure we should go out with a prayer you all know called the Ho'oponopono prayer. It's a very simple prayer. It's on your screen. We'll pray it together. If you're at home, pray it with us. It goes like this. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Amen. Grace and peace to you all. See you next time.